financial red flags. You can be in a place where you can tell in advance that the business is going to suffer. Aaron makes a very good point on this. They have several things that they sell, and I can make the same point because all of my businesses are the same. They have several things that they sell. One of them is incorporation. Like, they can help you incorporate within the US. That's typically a one-time thing that you buy. Like, you incorporate, you're done, and then you can get like a yearly, because someone needs to represent you locally if you're not there. And if you don't represent yourself, you need someone representing you. That's a relatively inexpensive service. So you have that service of incorporation. It's a one-time thing. And then you have a service that they call a Rockefeller. Is the highest level of service that they sell. Is basically the highest level of asset protection that you can get. They call it a Rockefeller because that they got it from him, right? It's like a long story. It's very cool. I really love their ethos and what they build and how they help companies protect their assets. Even companies that have, 20 companies, like people, owners having 20 companies in many different states and so on. These guys are the guys that help them, manage everything and make sure everything is safe and set up correctly and so on. So that's the Rockefeller package. So Rockefeller is a yearly subscription, and the average Rockefeller person like that signs up for that stays with them for, I think it was 7 years or 8 years or something like that. So when Aaron looks at their books and he says, okay, we've sold $50,000 of services yesterday and $50,000 today, and whatever it is, like he sees those numbers. Say, oh, well, the business is going well. That's what we should be selling every single day. However, what we recommend is that, remember, when you build your P&L, balance sheet, and so on, is that you have everything there, every single cost, every single type of income, and so on and so forth. So on his income statements, he clearly sees the types of services that they're selling and the units of all of the services and how those units are adding up to 50 grand a day in sales. So now, when you look at that, he can look at all of the different types and seeing, wait. Last month, the majority of our money was from Rockefeller. Let's say 25 grand a day was in selling Rockefellers, one Rockefeller per day. So that's what we were doing. Now, I can see we're doing the same thing. However, we're not selling Rockefellers anymore. This is a red flag because he knows that his biggest long-term growth strategy is to sell Rockefellers because those are the clients that stay with them longest. And so if they're not selling that one specific type of service, then they're not future-proofing their business, so their business might actually shrink next year. So that's a very good example of a financial red flag. And the only way you can know this is, again, if you have your numbers. You need to have this financial history, this financial legacy. And if you ever want to sell your business, you want to sell your business and you want to have the bargaining chips. You want to say, I'm selling you this business that's making $2 million a year in revenue and $1 million of profit. I'm selling you this for $10 million, and this is why, right? These are all of the reasons why. Everything I've already thought of. If this happens, then this is what we do. If this happens, this is what we do, and so on. This is what you sell to the next owner of your entity, right? That's how you get those high multiples that no one is getting. We know people that have 40 million or had $40 million a year businesses that sold their business for $5 million because it was so chaotic. Like nothing was in order. We, on the other hand, have sold businesses that were making under $1 million a year for $15 million. These are true stories that we've done. Why? Because there was so much order in the business. There was so much growth in the business. Like it was crazy. Like we can do this over and over again. We figured out how to do that. And this is what you can do. If you're within the business, you can do the exact same thing. You can see financial red flags you can have for you. They can be development red flags. Like for example, up until last week, the majority of value we've brought to the company was in terms of new features and improvements. However, this week, 50% of our work was in bug fixes. Where did those bugs come from? We created those bugs, right? In previously. So let's look at that. Why are we putting so many bugs into production? Or if you're an admin team, or if you're a finances team, or legal team, whatever, right? Why are so many contracts coming back for more, more changes and more edits? Because that's time on our bill. Like, the company needs to pay us more and more and more to basically get less contracts out. So you, as a manager of the legal department, you can figure that out. It depends on your KPIs. That's why we teach all of this in the book and in these videos in order. There's a syntax to this. You do this first, and then level 1, and then level 2, and level 3, and so on and so forth. You shouldn't mix and match. Do these, everything we teach, you do it in this order. So by now, you have all of these systems in place. Now you will see the red flags and you will understand them differently. You will be the mature owner of anything that's going on within your team. You will know. No one will know better than you, right? And so this is what we're building. This is how we can get to level 5, and this is how we will go to level 10 after this, right? So now, and there are various other red flags that you can see. You'll only be able to see them specifically for your business if you actually start measuring, and then you'll understand what's red flag for you. It can be in terms of finances, that cash flow is going down or profitability is going down. All of these things you can take a look at. If your profitability is going down month to month, that's a huge red flag. Why is profitability going down, and what are we going to do to solve that? Okay. Many things there that you can do once you have this in place. Have this in place. That's what you need to do. And now that we have all of these things in place, we can look at actually understanding all of these numbers and gathering insights based on what is going on. So it's an investment you have to make. Aaron and I believe that if you want to operate at the highest level of excellence in your business, in your career, this investment of putting these metrics in place, these systems of measurement, whether it's manual, like you just have people fill in a sheet, or you can use Alvanda for that. We do a lot of that. Or you have, let's say, automatic accounting, or filtering and so on and so forth. Whatever you have in place, or a CRM, etc., you need to make sure that this is in place, and then you invest the time also to check up on this often. You have your own checkup timelines. For example, you can have daily checkups on the most important KPIs like revenue or features being delivered or whatever it is. And you can have weekly things on less important KPIs, monthly things on less important KPIs, and maybe quarterly things on, or quarterly measurements on things that can only be measured per quarter, per month, etc. Right? Like maybe long-term increases in traffic, right? Traffic won't maybe increase day by day. It's useless to measure traffic day by day. You can measure it week by week or things of that nature. And then quarter by quarter, you can see if the business is actually growing properly. I recommend you measure everything else daily, and then we talked about lead measures and lag measures before. So you mentioned the lead measures, what you need to do, and then the lag measure on a quarterly basis. And then we also have a very interesting thing that Aaron coined. I think he coined it and I took it from him. It's called inspecting your expectations. So what you do is, I recommend as an action step, randomly, you just set it for yourself, randomly every single week, you check one random procedure, one random person, one random client, or something random in your business. So in your mind, you say, this person is doing content, they're writing content, and this is the procedure. So randomly, you just say, okay, let me check the procedure. And then you read the procedure, you say what they need to do. Let's say maybe the procedure is spot on, it's exactly how you think it needs to be. Then next week, you can check the person that's following that procedure. Have a call with them, check up on them, see what's going on, get their feedback, ask them what they're doing, and so on and so forth. And you might find that the procedure is perfect, but they're not following it. Or something else is going on. They found a better way of doing that thing, but they haven't told anyone about it. Or let's say your team is saying, oh, these client accounts are going perfectly. And then you hop on a client account randomly. You say, let me talk to that client. Everyone's saying that it's going so well. And you talk with the client and they're actually super upset of whatever, is going on and so on and so forth, or no one has talked to them in over a month or anything like that. You're not doing this to find fault. You're doing this to make sure that your expectations are being expected. And the reason is twofold, or the value of this is twofold. Number one, the value is that you get a pulse of how things are actually going. Like you get your numbers, you look at the numbers, everything's fine, and then once a week or once a month or however often you want, you inspect those expectations. You look at underneath what's going on, and you get a good pulse of how things are actually going. And number two, your team knows that randomly you're gonna check everything that they're doing. And they know by default, Robert randomly, on Thursday morning at 6 a.m., he's gonna wake up and he's gonna check the emails that we're sending to our clients. Randomly at Sunday evening at 5 p.m., he will have nothing to do and he's gonna check the procedures of whatever it is. And I've been doing this for years. Everyone knows that I'll randomly check all of the work that they've been doing or all of the results, right? I just do these spot checks randomly, and I ask them on the spot sometimes, how are we doing with this? What are we doing with that? They're being caught completely off guard. And guess what? I just have a gut feeling about this stuff, and almost every single time I nail it. I talk to directors of operation or CEOs, I talk with them, and they're like, okay, so you're saying clients are going well and all of this. Okay, please tell me how many leads we generated for this specific client last week. They're like, well, I don't know the exact number. Wait. You're telling me that we're doing well for this client and we don't have an exact number for them for last week? What are you talking about? Well, we don't update it every week and so on and so forth. We look at the tool where the leads come in, and we have a good sense for these things. I'm not doubting your sense, but that's not the process. The process says, do the work for the client and then write this number in this sheet once a week. Why aren't we doing that? Very easy conversations that have to happen, right? And so the moment that does happen, they're like, oh yeah, he does check that. I don't want to look foolish next time, and basically drop the ball on anything he's going to ask me about. I might as well do this properly. At the extreme, I used to be training to become a pilot at one point, and what our commander would do is they would line us up in front of the plane, and they would ask us one random question from everything. Like we had 9 books that we needed to know every single page of, like, what happens in this situation, how does the climate work when there's a storm, after a storm, sunny days, what happens if you hear this sound in the engine, what does that lever do? Every single thing from 9 books, everything. It was so difficult. And they would ask us one random question that day. If you didn't know the answer to the one random question of anything, and they knew, the commander knew, he literally could decide if you're gonna fly today, because he knew where you're struggling and what you're good at. So he would always ask you questions in things that you're struggling with. So you would prepare in advance. You have an issue with mechanics, like you don't know the names of whatever. Before flying days, you would literally read the entire book again. And then you would go in and he would ask you a question. If you don't know the answer, you're not flying today. And so it might take you half a year to get your flying license, or it might take you 6 years, because you have to have a certain number of flights before that, and he just wouldn't allow you to fly. So this is an extreme measure. No one would do this in business, I believe, probably. However, in the army, in military, that was the Air Force. In the Air Force, they do that. They're that strict, right? And so in business, you don't need to be that strict, but they need to know that you're checking all of the things that move in the business sometime or another. At one point, I had, and this is the final story on the subject, at one point I had the misfortune to hire a psychopath in one of my businesses, and we lost so many clients, so many people that we had, like we tarnished relationships with them, we lost so much money, so much time, we went into debt. It was horrible. Like, I couldn't believe it. And one of the things that they implemented, the reason why we lost so much is because we hired them as a top level director. They were literally in charge of an entire division, and that division was making millions. And so we lost so much because of that. And so they're lying in almost all the time. Every single time you would speak with them, one lie or another, something about the truth was skewed. They would leave you guessing every single time. And so it was my fault for not being even more firm and so on, but I never talked to psychopaths. I didn't know how to work with them. I didn't know how they function. This is something else that I'd probably write an entire book on it at this point. However, one of the things that they insisted on is that I should not mingle with their division because it's his. Either I fully trust him to do what they need to do, or why did I hire them in the first place? Like, why even hire them if I'm not going to trust them? Very good, let's say, comment or very good reason. However, has nothing to do with that. I own the company, full stop. I can do whatever I want with my company. You can tell me what I can and cannot do in my company. I can check up on you. I can check up on your direct report. I can check up on someone 10 levels down. You should never be pushed out of making sure that your culture, your procedures, everything that you want to see in your business happens the exact way you want it to happen. No one takes that away from you. If you're a director or a manager within a company and someone, like not the owner, but you're the owner of this specific result that or this specific team, no one can come on and tell you, you shouldn't know what my process is. Like, I do my thing, you just do yours. No. I am 100% responsible for your work. I want to know how you do it, when you do it, and so on and so forth. I want that information. If you're not willing to give me that information of when you work, how you work, what's your procedure, and so on and so forth, we can't work together. I'm going to be transparent with you with what I get from leadership. You need to be transparent from me with what you're doing on your side. There should be complete transparency, or as much of complete transparency as we can get. This is not to micromanage. This is not to control. This is to make sure that business is run the way we run it here. If you want to do business differently, if you want to have complete control over what you're doing in a business and no one can ask you about it, set your own business. And then no one will ask you about it, right? Then get your own business, do entrepreneurship, and that's it. If you're working with other people, you have the stability of a salary, you have the stability of being shielded from clients and so on and so forth, and you're literally have the stability of profit, because all of your salary is 100% profit. In entrepreneurship, it's not like that. You can have low months where you can't pay yourself anything. In business, as an employee or as a contractor, the percentage of times contractors and employees are paid as compared to how often entrepreneurs are paid is crazy different. Like, maybe not 100% for employees, but let's say 90% of employees or 80% of employees are paid, and then maybe 20% of entrepreneurs are paid on a monthly as much as they should be paid that month. Because if there's a bad month, typically the entrepreneur takes a hit or the owner takes a hit. So that being said, in that area, this is why this is very important to me as well, this specific topic of checking. And Aaron, made it very clear, you always need to check, right? And so this is what you do. Make it a habit of always checking. This is the final point of level 5, right? This is inspecting expectations. You need to make sure that you have an alarm going off, once a week, once a month, or whatever. And anything you want to check, anything you feel like checking that time, just make sure you check it, okay? So how do you do that? How do you determine what you check? Well, it's very easy. You always have goals in place, right? And so the vast majority of people don't have goals. When I talk to them, I talk with them in the form of, okay, tell me what your goals are. And they say, these are my goals. Okay, perfect. Now tell me your plans. I say, well, that's my plan. No, wait, you told me your goals. You said you want to make this much money, you want to have these many clients. What's your actual plan? You mean how I get there? Yes, perfect. Okay, let me show you. I have a sheet, right? Oh, they get so excited. I have a sheet. And they say, okay, here's us right now. We're at 10 clients. We want to get to 100 clients. This is how we're going to get there. And I look and they show me a sheet of like, month 1, 10 clients, month 2, 20 clients, month 3, 30 clients. And then, all of the numbers and everything. Okay, you're showing me a detailed outline of goals. What is your plan? And like, what are you talking about? That's my plan. We're going to get 10 extra clients in February and then 10 extra clients in March. I'm like, you're not getting it. That's not the plan. That's still a goal. The only difference is that one was a 1-year goal or a 3-year goal, and these are monthly goals, but they're still goals. They're not a plan. And then, we start going into actual planning, right? Actual plans means how exactly are we going to reach out to all of those people that will be clients, right? What types of services are going to be a priority in terms of what we want to sell? Do we do this over email, like the channels, or do we do this over LinkedIn or YouTube, right? What are we going to, like, what's the actual plan? What's the script? What do we do when someone replies, right? If the plan is to grow the tool set, right? Like, for example, like you're something internal, an internal department. What's the actual plan? Who's going to go on vacation when? You're making this sound like every single month is going to be the same. And they're like, well, no, but it's going to average out. What do you mean it's going to average? Do you mean you don't know when people typically take vacations? I'll tell you. June, July, August. Literally, like how much do you need to know, right? If they're Muslim, they take vacations when it's their New Year's. If they're Christian, they're going to take a vacation on Christmas, New Year's, and Easter. If they're in the US, they take off on 4th of July and Halloween and whatever. If they're like, you should know this stuff, right? This is an actual plan, because this is what separates, right, amazing strategists and planners from mediocre ones. Mediocre people have just goals. They say, oh, this is my goal. This is what I want to do. A strategist knows everything that they're going to do, right? And so that's how you know what to measure, and that's how you know what you need to focus on when you check things, because you have a plan, an actual plan. Again, not goals. We talked about visions at the beginning. A vision is, this is where we're going. That's the goal. And then a plan is, this is exactly what we're going to do to get there. So if I come to your business, let's say many businesses invite me to be partners in them and help grow their business. They give me shares. I go into businesses and I see goals. I say, okay, perfect. These are your goals. Show me your plans. And then I dissect their plans so much that I want them to convince me that this is going to work and this is why. And not convince me through charisma, but convince me through logic, right? Like, this is exactly what will happen. I become a very pushy devil's advocate in those conversations, because I literally want to see, is my investment of time worth it if I join forces with these guys and we're going to make this much money in the next year, 5 years, and so on, right? And so this is literally the final step of the game, right? Inspecting your expectations, making sure you have plans, and executing on those plans.